Alright, welcome everyone to today's ESL Pro Series game here with two of the best teams in the league so far with Team Velocity Esports and Cloud9. And right away we are quick into the picks and bans with some of the strongest champions. Elise, Draven, and Twisted Fate banned out, specialties of those teams, and it looks to be an amazing game here today.
Yep, hello guys, my name is CrusaderKittten and I'm joined by PanderNyrl who was just introducing everything so far. And just looking over at these bands, I'm really not too surprised at all. For instance, this Draven band here, definitely against frommaplestreet. He is such a strong Draven player. Absolutely scary on him. It's his most played champion, I believe. Meanwhile, that Elise band, also, sorry there, but warranted against Cris there, who's also a very strong Elise. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, they want to make sure maplestreet doesn't get Draven and has to play an AD carry. He's a little weaker on. Same thing with Shin and Twisted Fate. They want to ban out that global presence for the mid-game power, but that leaves Jayce open, one of the best champions in that top lane, or mid lane, depending upon how they want to play him. But I think he'll likely be used in that top lane role as a kind of a split pusher and a roam around gank everybody, but it could also be used down bottom, as we've seen Sneaky Castro run it a few times for some really interesting plays with that Jayce.
Yeah, also something that hasn't been dealt is that Thresh, which is being covered over by frommaplestreet. He's actually switching between a few champions here, but Thresh is such a strong support, so I guess we'll see if it is picked up or not. But just more while we wait for these picks here on these teams, Velocity Esports and Cloud9 Gaming, they're both just joined into the NA LCS. So this is kind of like a match of an LCS that we at NASL get to cast before Riot does. Yay! Cloud9 Gaming is actually undefeated so far in the NASL Pro Series, 5-0 so far in all their matches. Velocity Esports is 4-1, and with these two picks, you're going to be seeing a Thresh and a Reneckton.
I'm kind of surprised we let Thresh go to the second pick instead of picking up the Jayce, just due to the fact everyone loves Thresh. He synergizes perfectly with maplestreet's style of AD carry, and we've seen an amazing set of Thresh plays on Evaniskus. But they do counter it right away with the Nasus and the Kha'zix, meaning the lanes are completely open on the side of Cloud9. They have the opportunity to do basically whatever they want, as those champions are interchangeable in almost every single lane. And I think we're going to see the Nasus in the jungle this game as kind of a counter to whatever maplestreet decides to bring, as maplestreet is carried very hard for that team, and they really want to shut him down with that Wither.
Yeah, that's just a really strong tool, using that Wither. Also, that Kha'zix being such as really, I'm going to say really strong again, but such a strong, most likely going to be seeing him go mid. He could also go top, but he's a really nice assassin to have. And looks like this Evelyn actually locked in here, so that's a really interesting pick coming out. Most likely we'll be seeing that Evelyn going in the jungle, also Lux locked in.
I'm kind of curious to see how this jungle Evelyn works, as Reneckton would have to be top and Lux in the mid lane, and I don't see Evelyn playing the role of AD carry. So she's going to be in the jungle, she's going to be likely building that ability power roaming style, and let's see if Cloud9 is actually capable of dealing with that roaming Evelyn, which is so prevalent in the solo queue teams that really like her. She roams around perfectly well, she forces out extra pink wards so that support is incredibly poor, and delays things like the Aegis just off the back of buying those extra wards to make sure that she's kept in check, as she is one of the strongest snowballing junglers in the game at the moment.
Ooh. Whoa, wait, what is this? Looks like it could possibly be an AD carry Jayce or an AD carry Kennen. I do remember that Sneaky Castro has actually played an AD carry Jayce before, so I suppose we'll see what comes of this, but this is a really interesting pick coming out of Cloud9 here. And, you know, Kennen, for one thing, he has been really popularized in recent times. We've been seeing him played a lot. You know, he was really popular as like an AD carry back in Season 2, and now we've seen him sort of make a comeback. Also, this last pick over for Velocity Esports is that Misfortune, another favorite champion from frommaplestreet. So, not too surprising for a bit of these picks, but I'm really interested to see where these champions are all gonna go here, because looks like Cloud9 waiting a bit just to switch around these champions here.
Yeah, they're gonna probably put Jayce on AD carry due to the fact that he's just one of Sneaky Castro's favorite champions. Not sure how well it's gonna work this game, as they have Misfortune and Thresh, assuming they actually get to lane up against each other, as I'm not sure that's gonna be the best decision here, as Kennen or Balls on Kha'zix could easily rotate around up top and deal with that 2v1 lane pressure, while Reneckton on Cris will not be as
Oh
effective
man,
just due
it's
to
an
the
80k
range.
Jayce.
Yep.
Oh my god, we're gonna see this 80k Jayce. I seriously just read this today where Stinky Castro went 80k Jayce. I'm like, that is the most interesting I've ever read. And we're gonna see it in this game here. We're getting into the 3-minute spectral delay, so we can go ahead and take down those summoner spells. And we're going to look right off the back. 3 ignites coming off for both of these teams here. We're gonna
Big
be seeing
difference here is we actually see the summoner spells picked up by Sona and Jayce.
Yeah.
So LemonNation and Sneaky Castro are actually going to be running a very hyper-aggressive style, as Sona now packs 2 powerful heals, and there's no barrier, there's no cleanse. He is going all out, balls to the wall, full aggression mode on Sneaky Castro, the kind of Sneaky Castro we love to see, and the really fun style that he can bring on the AD carry Jayce.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how that goes, and definitely know he can go all in with that champion. He also has quite a bit of poke. Paired up with that Sona is going to be really useful, but seeing that heal on Sona is just, that's really interesting. Looking so far at these champions, we see Kennen. He's sort of the long-range champion that can come in here, most likely going up into the top lane. Do you think there will be a lane swap coming out?
I'd expect to see a lane swap, but it's really hard to tell at this point, as Thresh can basically dominate whatever lane he's in. I'd almost expect a lane swap here by Cloud9 just to avoid the Thresh Misfortune lane, which has the ability to shut down Jayce Sona with a single hook, due to the fact Misfortune is one of the best AD carries in the early to mid-game stages. She roams around amazingly well. MapleStreet's used her incredibly effectively along with Thresh to just apply hit after hit and make sure that you're never in a position to trade with her, and he uses that to gain a CS advantage throughout the entire game and eventually snowball it into a big win for his team. And I'm really loving this style coming out from Velocity, as they have Vileroze on Lux, they have Evaniskus on Thresh, and they could easily initiate with both of those champions and get their combos off. Combine that with the Evelyn ultimate and the Misfortune ultimate. It is going to be an absolutely ridiculous, amazing burst combo if they can put that together and not get it countered by the Crescendo and MegaZero's Kennen.
Yeah, so we are a little bit winding down into the last few seconds, so we will go into commercial break really quickly. Don't go anywhere. This is the ESL Pro Series sponsored by National ESL. Check us out, nationalesl.com. We do lots of games like League of Legends. Also have this ESL Pro Series. Going to be having a few more games of this coming up, as this is a best of 3, so definitely going to be an exciting game as 2 new LCS teams face off here, so don't go anywhere.
Alright, we are back from the commercial break as we get into the loading screen. Everyone loading up very quickly as we take a quick look at the skins and the final summoner spells. Loving the cleanse on Misfortune, as there's a lot of ways to lock her down. And what do you think about the skins?
Oh yeah, the skins. No Kha'zix skin, that's a little bit unfortunate. Also no Sona skin, she has some nice skins. It's 3 against 4. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and give it over to Velocity Esports there. Just by the numbers, really.
And I think that's as good a reason as any, as both of these teams have played amazingly well as of late. And it's going to be interesting to see how these lanes and aggression is run, as it looks like we're going to see a defensive strategy out here by Velocity. As they ping the red buff, they're going to likely wait S5 in that brush for someone to initiate in onto them and take the easy kill, as they won't have the ability to deal with someone like the entire lineup rushing in. And it looks like we're going to see both teams rushing to that same kind of area to see who can get an advantage in group and get the first kill.
Looks like LemonNation just walking around and putting down wards, of course, as any supports would do really in these early part of the games, and looks like they will be running into each other. NK Inc. He is going to be seen here. However, a lot of skill shots are missed there. The Descendant's going off onto high. He's taking lots of damage. Is stunned out. He flashes out. The Ignite is put down onto him. Cris is getting really low. Vileroze, same thing here. Sneaky turning on into, but oh wow, Sona picking up the first blood. Now going on to Evaniskus. Flashes over the wall. Can he get over to him? Flash over by Sneaky. Picks up the kill. And that is a 2-0 lead. Cloud9 picking up the first and second blood of the game.
And they're really going to be able to dictate this bottom lane, as both their AD carry and support picked up a kill off of that. And that is exactly what Cloud9 needed to start this game off. I'm kind of surprised that level 1 went so poorly on the side of Velocity, because they have the Thresh, they have the Lux binding, but they just didn't hit them correctly in that fight. They were split a little too much. They burned a lot on that Nasus, and the heal from Sona really paid off in the end, capping her team off and making sure that they had the health to continue in and really dominate that team fight.
Yeah, Nasus was just able to flash out there and avoid so much. He actually, with those 2 assists he got from that fight, went and picked up a Vision Ward, so gonna be definitely helping out his team with that Vision Ward. Same, looks like Sona picking up the Ruby Crystal, so really nice times coming off for these supports. However, we do have this lane swap coming up. We're going to be having from MapleStreet and Evaniskus going up top lane versus MegaZero. Down in bottom lane, we'll be seeing LemonNation and Sneaky Castro versus Cris. Who do you think this will be better for?
I think it's going to go a little better in favor of Kennen, just due to the fact he's a ranged champion. He is pretty strong at the 2v1 lanes, but it's not going to be easy for either of them, as Vileroze is actually taking very low in mid lane.
Ignite is coming down, picks up another kill. Balls hitting that level 2 much quicker than Vileroze. Was able to jump on Vileroze immediately, had that 42 pot, had that ignite, had the leap there, and just did so much damage.
And I'm not sure that Vileroze is going to be able to recover. He's only level 1 at this point on Lux, and Kha'zix is going to be almost level 4 by the time Lux gets back in the lane. He should have a fairly easy time with that lane, and that's just something you can't allow Kha'zix to do. He's going to walk over this as Nick Inc. almost picks up the kill on balls.
Yeah, he got really low there, of course, a little bit lower from that previous engagement. However, he will just be able to go back and pick up a few items. We'll just have to wait and see what he goes for. Meanwhile, top lane, aggression onto this MegaZero here. He's going to have a little bit of difficulty, especially without
But bottom lane, Cris is in a lot of trouble as he is ganked up, and he will be going down here as LemonNation picks up yet another kill, and the carry support has begun.
Yeah, 2-0 and 1 LemonNation, so obviously he's just going to be carrying off this whole game. Looks like this bottom tower will be taking a lot of damage. Nasus is just being really effective in pushing towers with that siphoning strike. Able to get some extra damage on those auto attacks. So first tower going down in 3 minutes and around 40 seconds there, so really nicely done. Really dominating early game coming up by Cloud9, and they're really showing off why they're undefeated in EPS, and looks like they're going for the 4-minute dragon.
I don't blame them. There's nothing that can really stop them. The 2v1 lane up top is not going to be down there, so it's going to be a 4v3 in their favor. And even with Dragon there, it's not going to be a significant amount of damage, as both Nasus and Sona have heals while Sona flashes over the wall.
LemonNation had a flash out the pit away. Meanwhile, MK taking lots of damage. Cris also being engaged out. He's a little bit too far forward. Nice snare coming off of Vileroze there to stop them from pursuing. But Cris is still in trouble. He's trying to get out of there. Does have a slicing dice, but the wither comes down onto him. They're going in for it. They should be able to pick up this kill here. And High is able to pick that one up. 5-0 now. Cloud9.
But up top, MegaZero is going to go down for the first blood on Velocity's side, but it is just not enough at this point, as Cloud9 is going to be able to easily take this bottom turret. They're respawning, but they're not going to get there before it's dead. There's a large minion wave here, and I'm not sure what Velocity is going to be able to do for a long time, as there's not a good objective on the map. There's Dragon up, but the top lane is still sitting in this lane. The top tower is still at above half health. They haven't been able to take it down. And with 2 towers in this bottom lane destroyed, I'm not sure where we're going to find the next opening from Velocity. They're going to have to make something, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and this is actually looking a lot like yesterday, where Cloud9 faced off versus Curse Academy, and in the second game of the series, they picked up an 8-minute win. And someone was talking about in the Reddit thread for these games, and before Cloud9 another 8-minute win, and then Rapid said it, and before Cloud8. But this is really looking so good for them so far. They have as many kills as there are minutes in the game, which is going to be changing really soon, but they just have such a dominating gameplay. It's really amazing.
The only thing that's really going in Velocity's favor is from MapleStreet on Misfortune, and the Evelyn, who's actually up there in the top CS members of the game. The only problem is we're going to see a Dragon here from Cloud9, and I don't think there's
Dragon attempt.
And I don't think there's anyone in this area, as there is, yeah, they're not a ward. There's pinks all over the map. We have 3 watching this bottom lane, so Evelyn's not going to have any opportunities there. And if she goes top, who cares? Kennen's basically sacrificing himself to help the rest of the game.
Yeah, second Dragon attempt there. Thankfully, LemonNation didn't have to flash over any walls to get out of that one. Looks like top lane MegaZero, he's actually farming really, really well. Same thing goes for Cris. They're pretty much even on the CS, so doing quite well for themselves. Even with Cris being pressured off a little bit by the fact that his team is not doing too well so far. Looks like he does go back, just picks a few regen items, picks up those boots, and just, oh man, it's gonna be really hard for Velocity Esports to really come back into this game. Where do you think they need to focus on the most to come back?
They're really going to have to get in this bottom lane, and Evelyn's already started that by picking up a pink ward, clearing out that ward near the blue buff, so she has this bottom lane under control. It's a really risky move to take those 2 towers that early.
Top lane Evaniskus is in trouble. Ultimate being used by MegaZero. They're diving under the tower. Evaniskus gonna be going down. MegaZero picking up that kill. A little bit of a mistake. I think he was pretty low on health there. Not too sure what he was trying to do, just staying up in that tower, possibly trying to protect it, but goes down there. frommaplestreet will have to try to defend this, however, it did take about half health.
And this is something that you can't do as support. You can't really be there without your AD carry, especially if you see the jungler up there, which I'm pretty sure you saw that fairly early on. This mid turret looks to be going down, but Eve is in there to try and make something happen.
Yeah, he's using his ultimate habit going on with the 2v3. Might not be too smart. Looks like just trying to get them away from that tower as it is being brought down really low. Looks like Cris is going to be heading up after pushing. And oh, actually, top lane. Attempted tower down to frommaplestreet. He did use a cleanse.
He burned his cleanse, he burned his ultimate, he's burned everything to try and save himself. It looks like Reneckton is going to be rotating in from behind.
Yeah, and actually Balls going aggressive onto NKing has he not down onto him. Picked up the kill by Balls. Nice nair going off from Vileroze. Able to get the kill onto Sneaky. Cris gets in there. Takes out LemonNation. So in that mid lane, a 2-for-1 trade actually in favor of Velocity Esports. A little bit too high of a tower dive, I think, coming off of Cloud9.
It looks like Kai's under a lot of trouble as well as he gets hooked in by Thresh. And this is what Velocity needs. They need to find these pickoffs. They need to catch Cloud9 overextending. As Balls is in a lot of trouble in this mid lane, but he did get the slow on to Cris. Cris won't be able to pursue. And so far, this is exactly what Velocity needs. They found a few kills. They're going to be able to take this top turret. This mid turret likely to go down as well, unless Vileroze takes a little bit more damage. But they're picking up a few objectives. They're keeping it within reach. And if they can find some pickoffs with those light bindings, they're going to be able to make a comeback. Same thing with the Thresh hooks. Land 1 or 2 good Thresh hooks, you can make that comeback. And Velocity has the opportunity to do so with objectives like red buff and blue buff still up on the map.
Yeah, and Evaniskus up at top, and he got a really nice hook out onto high. Stood up the kill for, actually he picked it up himself there, but you know, an assist from frommaplestreet never hurt. He picks up that BS right, so going for the Bloodthirster very soon. Nice side for him because he is farming considerably well. 69 CS, most CS in the game so far. Looks like he's going up top lane. MegaZero is up here. This tower is extremely low, and MegaZero actually has those double Doran's blades. Not too surprising from Kennen, just seeing as how strong he is with those pokes, with the shurikens and his auto attack. So it looks like that tower will be going down.
Good decision there by frommaplestreet to just back up, give up the tower. He saw Nasus rotating in with that ward Thresh placed earlier, and Sona's actually getting really daring as she's placed a ward at the enemy red buff. And she's going to be able to contest that very soon. They have 2 wards there, and it looks like we're seeing MegaZero in a lot of trouble.
MegaZero getting trapped in the box, went down. Looks like he's heading over to a little bit of flash over from this one. frommaplestreet falls right after, puts off the bullet time. MegaZero gets a heal from Sona. Looks like we'll be able to live from this one. Meanwhile, frommaplestreet is withered. Actually, AKA pick up the kill on to MegaZero. High chasing after frommaplestreet, picks up the kill. Evaniskus flashes over the wall, heading over to his team, throws off the dark passage. Actually looks like might want to be going back, picks up the dark passage. NKing is actually chasing after her, but looks like he won't be able to get onto anything. And a 1-for-1 trade there. MegaZero and frommaplestreet both going down.
A good trade overall on the side of Velocity, as MegaZero is a little bit stronger and higher level than frommaplestreet. The only problem is they're continually losing these objectives, and they have no control over their own jungle on the side of Velocity. They really need to almost pick up an Oracles and just sweep for wards so they don't get caught out. They actually have the ability to take some advantages from these fights, as Cloud9 has been able to take all their outer towers, 1 inner tower, and with Dragon respawning in about a minute, I don't see any real way for Velocity to contest it unless they can grab some ward control with either several pink wards or an Oracle's elixir.
Yeah, and just looking at items so far, you can really see the differences when you look at these junglers here. NK Inc. so far only has that Spirit Stone. He does have a little bit of gold to spend, but already for high, he has the Aegis of Legion. Such a nice item to have on your jungler, just providing so much tankiness really for the rest of his team. And actually, Sneaky putting out a little bit of damage onto Evaniskus here. Looks like both of these AD carry and support duos are in the mid lane, trying to push some things down.
Looks like Sona's actually picked up an Oracle's Elixir. Yeah. So she's going to be able to sweep for wards. There is none on the side of Velocity. So they're going to have complete dragon control as Cloud9 is continuing to snowball this mid game. The only problem is MegaZero's rotated up top. No, he hasn't. He decided to rotate right back as he realized dragon was up in 5-10 seconds. And they're going to have a great fight here if they can actually find one on the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, looks like they want to go for the next team fight. Of course, Cloud9 going to be really strong just with the AoE that can come out of Sona's Crescendo, Kennen's ultimate, Nasus has his ultimate. There's just some really nice abilities that can come into play. So we'll be seeing how this really just sets up.
This is going to be definitely in Cloud9's favor. As I said, they have the Oracle's Elixir. Velocity's going to have to go in fairly blind to this, as they're basically out of wards at this point.
Yeah.
They have likely one or two on Thresh still, and Sona has just Lux has just placed her last one, so it's going to be very hard. But Thresh misses the Lantern. This might be the chance to go in.
Going in there with the ultimate. There's the Crescendo as well as the ultimate from Kennen. There's the bullet time coming off as well as the box. There's Thresh going down. Sona picking up that kill as well as Reneckton being taken out. 3 people being taken out. Evelyn did also go down in that fight, and now the Dragon going to be coming after this. Nothing Velocity can do to stop this.
Excellent positioning there on that fight. They caught him right there in that little bitty cave area. Crescendo went out perfectly. MegaZero laid an awesome ultimate, and they just put that AoE team fight to work on the side of Cloud9. And it is not going to be long before they start pushing the base. As Velocity took a decent fight there, they just didn't have the items to really deal with the team fight of Cloud9.
Yeah, the AoE coming out is so strong and absolutely devastating to the team of Velocity Esports. They don't have anything like an Aegis to come up to help out their whole team. And King who initiated that was just taken down so quickly. So for frommaplestreet picking up that Bloodthirster, looking over at Sneaky Castro, he is going to be going back right now. We'll be seeing what he goes and picks up. He has a Mana Moon down. Has about half stacks on that one. A little bit less for the Mana Moon here on Kha'zix. But wow, the cooldown boot's actually coming off for Sneaky. That's a really interesting item pickup.
They're looking to really poke around with him and then engage with someone like Sona flashing with Crescendo or MegaZero hopping in there as well. They could easily do that if Sneaky Castro can get the right amount of poke off, that there's no way that they can engage. If Sneaky Castro continues to do his poke like he saw in the last fight, he hit Lux early on before the fight began, so she was at 70% health and couldn't really fully engage that fight without getting blown up by the AoE ultimates.
Yeah, so it just looks like, although they actually did pick up that red buff there, so getting the seal off, definitely just look at the ward coverage. They have it all throughout this top lane, pretty much on all of these camps, one in golems, one in this red buff, one in those wraiths. So really nice ward coverage coming out of Cloud9 as they're really just looking to press their advantages. Looks like they're just pushing up most lanes. You have Kha'zix down bottom lane, you have Kennen up top lane. Just trying to get those lanes pushing before they go on for a next team fight or tower siege.
They have the ability to do this because their lanes are all incredibly strong, and they can let Kha'zix just split push down bottom. Kennen's going to split push up top, and Sona's going to play ward clearer. As she has the Oracle's Elixir, she's used a pink ward or two throughout the map as well, and there is just no real way for Velocity to engage a 3v3 with Nasus and Sona protecting Sneaky Castro on that Jayce. There is just too much CC, and it looks like Kennen's going to be an engagement up top.
Yeah, and NK actually has not that much mana, so we'll be going down to MegaZero. Probably not the smartest of choices, trying to gauge out onto that Kennen. So MegaZero gonna be able to pick up a few more items, has a little bit of extra gold. He actually has 2,000 gold to spend. And just look at this, they have balls just pushing down bot lane. Cris is trying to stop that from happening. And then they have 3 people over in mid lane for Cloud9. They're gonna be able to pick up this middle inner tower.
And with this inner tower, there is nothing that Velocity can do to really counter it at the moment. There's no objectives they can take. Dragon's still a good 3 minutes off. and Vileroze is taking a massive amount of damage from that Shock Blast combo, and they're just pushing them off with Jayce. That's what Sneaky loves to do when he plays Jayce. Just push them off with a few Shock Blasts, and then go for the all-in superhero mode. And it's working so far, but LemonNation does take a lot of damage from that hook. But the problem is, Thresh is too weak. He doesn't have any real health. He has just the Sight Stone, and he really needs that extra health to be able to go in the fight and not just be killed by the initial burst coming out of Cloud9.
Yeah, and just look at how dominant Cloud9 is playing. I mean, they're having a three-way push coming out. They have all 3 lanes pushing, and they're gonna be able to pick up even more towers off of this, and it's just so rough for Velocity right now.
It's an excellent strategy by Cloud9. They know that Kennen is stronger than virtually anyone on the side of Velocity. Same thing with Kha'zix. Both of those champions can basically wipe the floor with anyone on the Velocity side of things, so they're just going to continue split push until someone like Cris gets caught out.
Yep, and there we see Wither going on to Cris as well as the slows. He does have that Dark Passage to go over to, so nicely done by Evaniskus, getting Cris out of there. He did have to pop that ultimate, so the dominance is not going to be there for the next team fight for Reneckton. It's just such a strong tanking ability. We'll have to wait a couple hundred seconds for that, or a few hundred seconds for that to come back.
I don't think we're going to see an engagement here by Cloud9 for a little bit of time. They've taken all these outer turrets. They're starting to get up there on gold, as most of them have over 1,000 gold to spend, with MegaZero having almost 3,000.
Wow.
And Balls having
a
little over 2,000. They're going to go back. Looks like every one of them is recalling now. Then they can make their push. This is exactly what they wanted to do. Yeah, now you see all those flash items popping up. Last Whisper's almost up. Zhonya's has been picked up by Kennen. We're going to see a Last Whisper up on Jayce in just a second. Even Sona getting pretty tanky, picking up that Ruby Crystal, and likely going to be building that into either a Shiroya's Reverie or an Aegis. And Nasus has even finished off an Aegis himself, along with the Kendall Gem, which will likely be going into some Spirit of the Ancient Golem.
Yeah, and also Sneaky finishing off that Mirror Mana, got all the stacks there, so this is going to be a great item when it comes to team fights. Really going to put a lot more damage out onto his abilities and whatnot. So just this next team fight really coming out from Cloud9 is most likely just going to be devastating, as just look how many items that they have. The jungler has Runic Borg finished, is building on into what looks like the Lock of the Iron Solari now. Their mid laner just has that Last Whisper building up into the Mirror Mana very soon. It's just, they're so well itemized and they're playing this so well. They've taken a lot of the jungle buffs away. They're taking most of these dragons in this game. They have all the inner and outer towers down. All they have left to do is either win a team fight or just siege down the base.
This is the exact position that Cloud9 wants to be in. It looks like Evaniskus is going to get caught out.
Yep, he is stunned, and oh, the shockwave. And the EQ combo being used there by Jayce, picking up that kill. And now that this is probably just gonna be like a tower dive or something coming out here. I wouldn't be too surprised.
Without the box from Thresh and the hooks from Thresh, there is nothing they can really do, especially considering that amount of poke coming against Castro.
Immediate cleanse coming up, but Ball's getting in there, picking up the kill onto Vileroze, as well as another one onto NK, going right back in. Looks like Sneaky picking up the kill onto Cris, and now they're chasing at the front. MapleStreet, who will be going down, and that 4 for 0 right there. A lot to Cloud9 are very low from trading off those tower aggro's and whatnot. Evaniskus is alive, however, probably won't be able to do too much.
And this is basically Velocity getting snowballed on this game. They really lost at that level 1 team fight. And if they had a better level 1 engagement, or they just didn't take a level 1 engagement at all, I think they would have been in a position to really win this game. But that really sealed their fate early on, as it allowed them to grab the extra item early, push both of those towers, and it looks like they're even able to survive this huge engagement.
Yeah, there's a Luxus that came across, as well as the Evelyn ultimate still chasing. LemonNation is so low, but balls, jeez, the void spikes just taking them out. Oh man. Wow, the distance was so close there, but looks like the disengage is a little bit too strong coming out of Cloud9, and they're just going to be able to walk away from that one, picking up 2 inhibitors 21 minutes in.
And this is looking really bad for Velocity if it wasn't earlier. They had them so low, but they couldn't finish them off. Even LemonNation didn't die in that engagement, and he had basically 100 HP. He's picked up a Shirelia's Reverie. Kind of surprising as we don't see that very often on supports. But it's excellent for this team comp as they could poke around with Kennen and Jayce and then fully engage with a Shirelia's Reverie or run away with a Shirelia's Reverie. It's either or, depending upon what they decide to do. But I think we're going to see it for some more tower diving shenanigans.
Yeah, just absolutely way too strong, and they're just going to be able to take people out now. So it looks like there could also be a Baron attempt coming off here. LemonNation just walking around, throwing off the wards around us. They're definitely prepping up for a potential Baron.
I don't think they're going to go for Baron at this point. They could easily push this top lane. There's no one on the side of Velocity that could really clear out these minion waves fast enough for them to not just be forced to sit in the lane. MapleStreet's the only one with any real big farm, and it's not going to be enough, as it looks like we're going to see 2 dead here on the side of Velocity.
Wow, just Evaniskus absolutely destroyed, and now they'll go for their Baron. As they're saying, this is pretty much going to be a free Baron for them as well as a kill.
And with this free Baron, there's basically the GG's going to come out after this. Unless we see a steal by something like Lux, but Vileroze is in no position as Kennen's going to blow her up.
Wow. And oh, ball's going to go to the wall, going from MapleStreet. Gonna be able to take him out. And looks like NK tried to get in there as well as Cris, taking down Sneaky and High. Really low, but balls gets in there. NK going down to LemonNation. That carries the board, just coming off. Cris trying to turn around for High. High lives through it all, and now they're going right back for a Baron. No surrender vote coming out there. 23 minutes in. Velocity Esports just...
Yeah, that's basically just that level 1 engagement. We're going to see Game 2 up in just a second, as hopefully Velocity will pick it up and not run a terrible level 1 strategy. But this is the EPS sponsored by the ESL and NESL. I'm PanderNyrl here with CrusaderKittten. We'll be in game number 2 of Cloud9 versus Velocity in just a few moments. Please make sure you stay here and follow the channel, as we have a bunch of other games coming up in the near future, with the major ones being Go for LOL tomorrow, along with another EPS cast. So we'll be back in just a few moments with the next game of Cloud9 versus Velocity. Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.